there's a few different ways you approach this, or you can approach this. If you're going for snappy, fast animation, the first thing to keep in mind is what kind of snap is it? Is it an energetic snap, or is it just more quick motion? So what I mean by energetic is, let's say you're doing something that's really hard, like a slap of some kind, a punch, something like that. When you have this extreme burst of energy, so a motion like that, you'll notice that not only do we get that fast motion, but we get an overshoot. And the overshoots are what are really going to help a lot of motions feel fast and snappy, but not just feel like they hit a wall and stop. So if you just watch the hand, see how it went past and then back? That is going to add a lot of energy into your shot. And avoid, again, that feeling of just stopping and easing in, which then if everything's doing that, you're going ease, ease, ease. It can still look organic, but overall, everything's going to have that feeling of soft mushiness. It's not going to have that snap to it. So overshoots are going to be your friend in that. Now, with that said, we don't want to put overshoots in everything, because sometimes you're just going to have a character go, hey, and you'll notice that that's very fast, and then I just ease. It's a more relaxed motion, still fast, but I'm not hitting with a lot of energy and like a kind of slap type motion. So overshoots and eases are going to be your friend, overshoots especially. From there, it's pushing your spacing and your holds. You see this in runs quite a bit. Let's see, I have a demo that I did a long time ago that's perfect for it, but I lost all the play blast and the file doesn't open for me anymore. Curses. Do I have another demo that I did here that I can show? Okay, cool. Let me find this here. So as I'm looking for this, essentially what it is as you are animating quick, fast motion, what you want to avoid is just easing, move, a little faster in the middle, ease again, just super slowly. You want to really try to hold extremes and then move quickly in between them, and then really exaggerate the eases. So it's not just the typical, what I typically call the Maya ease, auto tangents, just the thing that it gives you by default. You want to push that even more than normal. And that's going to give you a very nice, strong force to it. Let's see, I can't find the demo here. So let me just draw it out as much as I can draw. Okay, cool. So let's share the desktop. Okay, that's going to work. So what I was talking about with normal eases is normally if you have an ease in, ease out, you're going to have something like this. It's just the kind of halfway method where you go half, half, half. So from here to here, we go half, half, half. There we go. And then we can do that again. And that's usually what you're going to get with the typical auto tangents in Maya, is just this basic ease. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. But even if you put your timing to be really quick, so right here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 frames right there. We could do that same motion, let's say cartoony quick motion. We want to do this in 6 frames. Sorry, not cartoony, because we're not trying to go cartoony. We're just trying to make it snappy. So, wow, that's a crooked line. Okay, so we have 6 frames. So frame 1 to frame 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There we go. So once again, the timing is pretty quick, 6 frames. We have a character turn their head, that's going to be pretty snappy. But as soon as we go into splines, this is going to feel boring and even mechanical. And it's happening for 2 main reasons. One is that the spacing is too far spaced out. Even though technically, yes, we are easing in and out here, slow in, slow out. It's, hey, thank you so much for the sub. Oh, Sarah, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. That's awesome. So the problem here is that the spacing, even though it is easing in and out, it's still quite a distance. We're going essentially a quarter of the way right here. And Sarah, thank you so much as well. Sarah and then Sarah, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Aw. So, yeah, so right now that ease right into this section here is moving a quarter of the way. This is a quarter of the way. And again, that's going to be very typical with most programs. Blender, Maya, Toon Boom. When you're just using those auto tangent type eases, you're going to get this. So we get an ease in, ease out, sure, but it's not really that much of an ease. Not only that, but then the next thing we get is the middle pose right here. And it is right in the middle. So this is going to be frame 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we get that. So timing wise, this is right in the middle. We've got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 on either side. Timing right in the middle. Spacing right in the middle. When your timing and your spacing line up perfectly in the center like that, it creates a boring in between. And not only that, it makes it so that our eyes recognize that motion more easily. So what makes a motion snappy versus poppy is a pop is going to be our eyes not being able to track the motion correctly. A snappy, fun motion, energetic motion, our eyes can track, but essentially we're reading individual poses instead of this global motion, if that makes sense. So let's explain that a little bit more. So right now, what's going to happen is our eyes don't really track a single pose. They're seeing kind of frame 1 here, and then they're seeing motion going through. We see the middle frame, we see more motion, and then we see the last frame. So this 6-frame section here is just motion, 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 motion. And even though the timing is fast, it'll feel swimmy. So what we want to do is we want to push this so that we exaggerate that spacing. So I'm going to push it a lot further here. So we can do something like this. So you can see that ease at the beginning, much smaller right there. So it's easing really sharp. We could do the same thing on the other side there. This is going to be a basic snappy motion. And then the middle pose, I'm going to favor one side or the other. So let's do this. So now we've got that kind of motion. Now, if we have a bigger gap here, ideally what we would also want to do is adjust this spacing here so it's a little wider so we don't slam in so hard. So something like that. And if we compare both of these, let's just do one right over top of the other. Notice how on the top one here, your eyes don't really focus on any one thing. If you kind of just look at it faintly and kind of don't squint your eyes, but don't focus too much, nothing stands out. It's just a line and extra lines on it. But with this one here, our eyes very easily look at this point and this point. So now we have those two main sections in there, and our eyes can track that, so that small motion, it goes through and then keeps going. So this allows our eyes to properly follow the motion and then focus on those two poses versus a general, just constant motion. Now, there's a lot of ways you can push this. So let's kind of just stick to that 6-frame section. So we could do a little bit of an ease here and then really push the ease on this side like that. So this would be something like a character, maybe they're like a snake attacking and just gonna like attack super quick and bite at someone. You just have it kind of sitting there. You'd have that one ease as it starts to come forward, leading maybe with the neck. So it's doing that. You have that one frame, and then right after, right across. So you have that one little frame of anticipating the motion before it goes through. Now, if it just went from here, right there, that's not going to read too clearly because we haven't let the audience see that something is going to happen. Even if it's just one frame, that's going to allow the audience to kind of lead their eye across the screen and follow the motion more clearly. So we could do something like that. We can do all sorts of different variations. We can add overshoots to that as well. It's going to make it feel much more dynamic. So that's really the big thing, is pushing that spacing, but don't let it pop. Now, if you do feel like, wow, this is a big change right here, and it's just snapping and we're not following that correctly, that's when you can add in multiples or smears or lines. So imagine this is the pose right here. We can just add some quick little lines across, and then that'll help read that motion through there. So from there, when you get into your holds, don't be afraid of holding a pose. One of the biggest things that I see students struggle with is not holding a pose. They'll have a character get into a pose and then just kind of keep moving and then get back out. If a character gets into a pose, let them stay there. Of course, it's going to be moving holds typically for most of these, but you can just kind of get in there, hold, stay there, don't move too much, maybe a few little accents here and there, and then you get out of it. If you watch me, for example, as I'm sitting here, I'm not really moving that much. I don't have to move that much. I'm not bouncing around, I'm not sliding around through the scene, so I can move, hold. And you'll notice there was a little settle in there, a little overshoot as I readjusted my weight right here, but it's nice and simple. So that's really the main thing. It's the holds on emotion. Now, let's take a run or a walk, for example. This is where you see a lot of this happen. So let's just clear this out here. So this is just going to be, again, a spacing chart. But let's take a walk cycle or a run cycle. When you have a run or a walk, you're going to have this foot-shaped arc right through here. So it's going that direction. Let's add the ground in there. And typically, when we're animating this, especially for a run, what you'll usually want is a slight ease out. So it goes out here, goes faster, 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 and then it just kind of keeps going right through here until you might have a little ease at the end like that. Okay, great. But once again, how does this look to our eyes? It's just going to be this. So you have both feet, one going one way, one going the other, and it's just going to be constant motion like this. Even if it's faster, like that, it's still just constant motion. Our eyes don't lock onto anything. So instead, let's try to push that spacing a little bit more. So the foot's going to come up, go up through here, and then we can think of the bouncing ball. So as it comes up here, this especially works very well for a run. You get that little hang time up here. And let's actually push this a little bit more. And Jupiter, hey, thank you so much for the sub. Oh, I really appreciate that. Thank you. So we have that little bit of hang time there. The foot goes up, holds right in here. We can push that quite a bit. Now, as it starts to go forward, we just let this go forward. So really, we're getting maybe three frames of motion across here. So you get 1, 2, 3, and then we get here, and we can start to ease in again. So essentially, the foot's gonna, instead of just this constant motion of whoop across, you're gonna get up, hold, whoop, hold, two. And then from there, we can contact the ground like so. Now, if we look at that spacing, let's kind of clean this up just a little bit here. Where do your eyes focus? Well, once again, there and there. That makes your motion much more dynamic. you can apply this to a walk cycle as well. And if you actually look at walk cycles, we have that a little bit. Not as extreme as in a run cycle, but as it goes up, you're not going to get quite so much hang time up here, but it's going to be a lot tighter spacing on this side before it goes quickly down the middle here. And then it'll slow down at the peak as the foot kind of goes whoop, hold, contact. And that creates a nice rhythm versus that linear motion. And this is very important because then as the foot is going backwards on the ground, this is where you do want it to be linear. So this motion should just be straight, linear, no ease in, no ease out. I've got a little ease in, ease out right there. But that should be straight linear going back there. And that's going to create a nice dynamic variation in your walk where you get this nice dynamic up, hold, hold down, linear back. And then again, that nice rhythm versus this almost linear motion this way and then linear motion going that way. And then you multiply that by both feet. And then you add that with the arms doing this as well. It's a lot of linear motion and your whole walk is just going to feel swimmy and boring. And even though your timing is dynamic, it's gonna be bleh. So pushing your spacing and pushing those holds into things and kind of trying to focus the audience onto specific sections, poses, that's going to make it feel snappy. Don't let them kind of see everything. That makes sense. So yeah, hopefully that all makes sense. If you have any other questions on that, definitely let me know.